United on a hot day. As you can hear, my fan is on. I'm not outside, people. I've got my fan on. With me today, I've got Andy and Chloe. Andy, how are you?
Good. I'm just doing the old-fashioned way of just sweating it out. I'm about as uncomfortable as Sandra Panos after she messed up that first goal. But it'll be. We'll get into that later.
Chloe, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just cooling down after obviously working in it. So yeah, it's been one of them hot days today. But yeah, glad to be on and thanks for having me on again, Maisy.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Hey there, Helen, who's in the chat. I'm coping just about, let's just say. That's all I'm going to say. And hey to Rather, I hope you are well. So, we'll do it in order with the groups, with the review. And we'll start with Group A. Who do you think's won this group out of us three?
You.
Yeah, not me, because I think I got a bit giddy. What was it? Was this one? I did an 8-0. Well, yeah, Northern. Yeah.
Should I go from third to first?
Go on then.
In third place with 6 points is me.
Oh. I can show my face again.
In second place with 7 points is Chloe.
Oh.
So that makes him first place and with 8 points.
Christ. I didn't know what I was doing, so well done.
So, I'll tell you how you actually won. It was actually from when you predicted the right score for Austria versus Northern Ireland. You predicted 2-0 to Austria.
Which is ironic, because that was the game I hadn't even watched, because I wasn't there, and I think it was the same time as England-Norway, wasn't it? I bet England.
Yeah, the England-Norway was 8 and that one was a 5.
I was right, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll start England versus Austria. We all got 1 point each because we all predicted the win. I predicted 4-0 to England. Andy predicted 3-0 to England. Chloe predicted 3-1. Norway versus Northern Ireland. It was quite crazy predictions. We all got 1 point because we predicted a Norway win. I predicted 6-0 to Norway. Andy predicted 8-0 to Norway. And Chloe predicted 5-0 to Norway. So you was close, Chloe. You were close.
Well, not too bad.
The Austria versus Northern Ireland. I predicted 1-0 to Austria. Andy predicted 2-0 for Austria. And Chloe predicted 2-1. Again, Chloe's so close.
It's with my extensive knowledge of the Austrian team and mixed with my, encyclopedic level of knowledge of Northern Ireland team.
Mm-hmm. And we all got, me and Chloe got 1 point and you got 4 points, Andy, because you predicted the win and you predicted the right score. So you get an extra 3 points if you get the score right. England versus Norway was actually one none of us got points on. I predicted a 1-1. Andy predicted a 2-1 to Norway.
God.
And Chloe predicted a 2-2.
Have you heard that the Norwegian coach has resigned today?
He got sacked, I think.
It said resign. Very British, isn't it? It said resign on the BBC, but apparently he's been sacked.
Definitely has been sacked.
Or was it one of those leave with mutual consent, i.e., there's the door, kick up the proverbial, and you got it sorted? Is it one of them?
And Northern Ireland versus England. I predicted 4-0 to England, which I was close with. Andy predicted 2-0 for England. And Chloe predicted 8-0 for England.
I was close. 3 out. I was close.
You were close.
But you were the closest on that one, Maisy.
Yeah, gutted. Otherwise I would have won. Austria versus Norway. I predicted 3-0 for Norway. None of us got points. Andy predicted 3-1 for Norway. And Chloe predicted to say 3-1 to Norway.
It's funny with Norway because they're probably the shock of the tournament. They're a lot better than they eventually played out. It's right that their coach is gone. It sounds like we'll get into Group B in a second, but it sounds like Jorge Vilda is going to be following him. And it's I know he's got a contract, but there's a lot of people that aren't happy. So it might be one of those that'll wait for him to sneeze in the World Cup and then they'll get rid of him then or something. But also it's like, yeah, as I say, Hedenberg, you would have expected to have performed a lot better, and she was nowhere. So it's just a really random tournament.
What do you think of your predictions now, Chloe, now you've had them?
I don't think they were too bad. They were realistic because at first you thought Norway would do well with Ada Hegerberg being back in, but they just didn't show up at the tournament at all. They just didn't turn up. So it's one of them. I think with the predictions for England, I think we all did really well. I think England just outshone all teams. But for me, Norway was the disappointment in this group.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go now with the table for Group A, what we predicted. I predicted first Norway, no points. Second place England, no points. Third place Austria, no points. Fourth place Northern Ireland, no points. 1 point. I got 1 point because I predicted fourth Northern Ireland. Yeah. Silly me. Chloe had 1-0 to England. First England, 1 point. Second place Norway, no points. Third place Austria, no points. And fourth place Northern Ireland, 1 point. So you got 2 points from your table. And you had first place Norway, no points. Second place England, no points. Third place Austria, no points. Fourth place Northern Ireland, 1 point. So you got 1 point from your table as well. And we'll go with the guaranteed goal scorers. Andy, hide your face. I had Lauren Hemp, who scored against
that was a good one.
Norway. Chloe had Hansen, who scored the penalty against Northern Ireland. And Andy had Hegerberg, who, as he stated, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, former Ballon d'Or winner, smashed at the Champions League final, was running around like a three-legged donkey in the 3 games of the tournament. But I suppose that's why a bet is a bet and not a certainty, isn't it? You just wouldn't realise an ex-Ballon d'Or would mess it up that much.
Very true. So I can see a few more people's entered the chat as well. Hey there to Chris. Hello to my dad. Hello as well to Reese. Hello to James the Flatbrush. Hello to Static as well. I hope you are all well. Are you ready to look at your Group B predictions? Or is this the one you're dreading the most?
It was weird because I think going into Group B, the game of the tournament we were looking forward to the most, I'm sure Chloe could talk about this as well, was Germany-Spain, because we had a blockbuster affair with Alexia Putellas and Jenny Hermoso, versus obviously a very strong Germany side. But I think I said it a few times throughout the tournament to Chloe, but when I watch Spain this tournament, it's like watching basically a defanged snake. Or someone is like a crocodile about his teeth. Like they're very good defense, but they're just terrible in attack. And because I was looking forward to the Brentford game, and don't worry, we enjoyed ourselves, but it wasn't the result we were expecting.
Do you want to touch on a little bit about Spain before we go through?
And I'm a fan of Barca. I just Panos made a howler, and she'll be the first to say that. But it's so shocking because she never does, and that was the thing.
One moment, sorry, Ashley. I thought I said hi to you. I thought I did. Sorry about that, Ashley. Go on, Chloe. What did you think about Spain?
I think Spain, they're all right. Obviously, at the start, like 1 day before the tournament, Alexa does her ACL. and that messes things up for the whole team. It's like a domino effect. It knocks your confidence. You've lost one of your captain. You've lost one of your other captains after obviously losing Jenny. She's a big part of the midfield. She's that leader on the pitch. She's that holding midfielder, and you lose her one day before the tournament starts. And what can they do? Like, they bring in someone who hasn't trained with the team for a week or so, obviously because they've not been picked originally, so they've not gelled. So it might have taken 1 or 2 games for them to gel in. And I think for me, like Andy touched on, the game at Brentford against Germany, it wasn't what I predicted. It wasn't what I thought it would happen. I did think Spain would score, but after seeing how Germany played in their first game, I thought Germany are here to win this. They're here to win this tournament, and they're not going to let any teams get in the way. Mm. And it was, for me, Spain had their scare in the first game against Finland, and obviously I know we'll touch on that shortly, but they had that scare against Finland, and that knocked their confidence, because they thought, oh God, like, going down 1-0 in the first 2 minutes, like, we can't let this happen. We need to do it. They probably even thought they need to do it for Alexa in that kind of aspect, but they knew they had to win that third game, because if they didn't win that third game, they were out. Or they had to win or draw that game, because if they didn't, and Denmark won, Denmark would have been through. So I know we're going to touch on it a bit more, but yeah, I think Spain lost their confidence just before the tournament started.
I must agree. James at Flatbush said Morocco and Zambia has qualified to the World Cup for the first time, which is excellent, absolutely excellent. Hey there to Ashelman, I hope you are well, and hello to Luca as well. So we'll go with the scores first of all for Group B, and we'll do it in third to first. So in third place is Ander with 6 points. In second place is Chloe with 7 points.
Oh.
So that means I was first with 13 points.
What?
Yes.
Get in!
Are you gonna once you've done the groups, do you do an overall table of points between the three of us?
We will do that. Yeah, it sounds good to me.
That's a bit of a lead you just got there, then, isn't it?
It sure is.
She's gonna do the Iceland clap in a minute in celebration. I can just
I'll just go. Woo! But right, I will tell you why I got the points. I predicted. What did I predict now? I predicted the correct score for Denmark versus Spain. I got the entire table right, and I was the only one who had the guaranteed goal scorer.
Do you want to remind us what the guaranteed goal scorers were?
Yeah, should we do you want to know them first before the games?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I had Alexandra Pop.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Alexia Patelas. And Chloe had Jenny Amoso.
Yeah, so we were both wrong there.
Yeah.
Well, we did that quite early on, and we both assumed that they were going to be stars of the Euros, and they would have been if. Well, you could argue 2 points if Jenny hadn't got injured, and also if she had a good chance, because she probably would have been able to play. And obviously Alexia was just unlucky, wasn't it, with the ACL?
Definitely. We'll go to the games, and we all got one each for Spain versus Finland. I predicted 3-0 for Finland.
Finland?
Finland. Who's Finland?
Sounds like an interesting country.
I predicted 3-0 for Spain against Finland. Chloe predicted 7-0 for Spain. And they predicted 5-0 for Spain. Germany versus Denmark. We all got one each again. I predicted 2-1 for Denmark. Chloe predicted 2-1 for Denmark. And Andy predicted 3-0 for Denmark. So he was the closest. And Denmark versus Finland. I predicted 2-0 for Denmark. Andy predicted 2-1 for Denmark. And Chloe predicted 3-0 for Denmark. We all got 1 point each.
Quick question. Didn't Germany beat Denmark in the first
What?
game? Didn't Germany beat Denmark in
Yeah,
the
that was Denmark versus Finland.
I meant the previous one. You were saying.
Oh, Germany versus Denmark. 2-1 Denmark for me. Oh, Denmark. 2-1 Germany. That's it. 2-1 Germany. 3-0 Germany for Andy. And 2-1 Germany for you, Chloe.
Yeah.
I
That's where I was getting confused.
Yeah. Silly me. Yeah. So we'll go now with Germany versus Spain. No points. We all predicted 3-2 to Spain. Finland versus Germany. I predicted 5-0 to Germany. Andy predicted 1-0 for Germany. And Chloe predicted 4-0 for Germany. Wait a minute. What did the score end up being now? That's got a game.
Which one?
Germany versus Finland. 3-0. That was it. Right, yeah. So we all got 1 point on that. And then Spain versus Denmark. I got 4 points because I predicted 1-0 for Spain. Andy got no points because he predicted 1-1. And Chloe got 1 point because she predicted 3-1.
What was the score again?
1-0 to Spain that game.
Yeah, because I was busy. I had a busy day anyway, but I literally fell asleep watching the game. And I was not expecting that again pre-tournament. I think it links back again to a defanged Spain. That was such a shame that we were robbed from. But obviously, honourable mention to Finland. They were a heck of a lot more difficult to deal with than I expected them to be. I think Chloe will probably have similar points. And they're just going to kick on with future tournaments. But, I think Northern Ireland was by a mile, obviously, the weakest team. But I thought there wouldn't be much difference between Finland and Northern Ireland. But there clearly is. And obviously, we'll get on to Iceland, which really we're unlucky not to qualify as well.
What about you, Chloe? What did you think about Finland? Because I think it was terrific, especially in breaking down Spain so early on. And I think they even done well against Denmark to only get 1 goal conceded against them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with both of your points in terms of how well Finland have done. But for me, in terms of Finland and Northern Ireland, I see that they're both same. They've both got the same similarities in terms of that they've not got the funding behind them. They've not got that. The leagues aren't fully professional, and for me, you see the teams they're coming up against: England, Austria, Germany, Spain. Their leagues are either nearly professional or have full-time professionals, and they have that backing of the national teams and the bigger clubs. So for me, in terms of Northern Ireland, they have full-time players in Rachel Furness, who plays for Liverpool, Laura Rafferty, who plays for Southampton, and obviously they're becoming professional. They are becoming professional in this next season. And then you have Simone McGill, which unfortunately she torn her ACL in the first game, which was very unfortunate. And that's obviously ruled her out now for the whole season for her new team, for Aston Villa. So they kind of lost a big player in Simone McGill, but they also, I don't seem like their manager doesn't care.
Yeah, their managers, you say, their managers. I have less nice things to say about their manager because of what he said about women in general and their ability to come back from problems. So hopefully he'll retire. But sorry, carry on, Chloe. I didn't realise you were still talking there.
No, it's all right. And then obviously Finland are they've just not had that development yet. I don't like. I know we touched on it when we were doing the groups, but I don't think any Finnish players play in the WSL and play in the top tiers and the top leagues. So hopefully that shows, and that can show teams and promote teams to buy the Finnish players and make them full time. So hopefully, in terms of Finland and Northern Ireland and Iceland, they can get the backing, they can become fully professional, and then hopefully they can progress more into tournaments and make more shocks in tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably do a ranty debate show at some point on this, but we've not done it here, obviously. But I'm starting to get a bit sick of the fact that people are reporting ACL injuries like they're hamstring problems. They're, up until in my lifetime, ACLs used to end your career, and I really, really want the women's game to get the research money that it needs to look at why these ACLs are happening, because the girls just deserve better than that. And it seems to, if we're not careful, it seems to be she's done her ACL. Moving on, tonight's weather's going to be, and we don't want that for some of the players. And I think, and linking to what you're saying about professional leagues, I mean, if I use it as a turn of phrase, but it's true. I don't even know what's on tonight. If you look on Sky Sports Mix or whatever, some random channel, Premier Sports, you'll probably see Belarusian like table tennis or Bulgarian like volleyball or whatever. So are you telling me that there's no scope on these digital channels to show the Belgian league, the Finnish stuff, Iceland? It can't. I can't believe it's not going to get the best ratings, but I can't believe that there's a vast amount of people in the UK that want to watch, Bulgarian volleyball compared to football, which is at least a recognisable game to us in the UK. And obviously, I'm sure we'll all jump in on it at some point. But I think there need to be more research on ACL injuries, because these are really bad. And some great players have had a couple of ACL injuries now, and they're seen as like fragile and dodgy, and they're not getting the options that other players would get because of them. So they need to get this research done.
I must agree. I really, really do. And I think we should definitely look at discussing this in more detail after the Euros. I think it's a really good topic to touch on. Before we go on to the table...
there's a side point, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to be clear for everyone in the comments, the woman in Northern Ireland doesn't really look like Maisy. It was a moment of madness that I thought there was a bit of a relation. There was a relation to it.
Get it!
But it kind of looks like Maisy. She's not had a sleep for 2 weeks, so it's not really doesn't look like Maisy at all.
When do I ever look like asleep? Like,
the real Maisy looks a lot better than that. I'll stop talking now. Let's move on to the table.
Yeah. And we'll talk about Italy soon, and we'll have a good laugh. Let's just say. So let's go on to the table for Group B, and it was only me who predicted it all right. I've got Germany.
Not that you're modest.
Not that I'm obviously. I'm just, Germany first, Spain second, Denmark third, Finland fourth, and both Andy and Chloe had the same with Spain first, Germany second, Denmark third, Finland fourth.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
No, don't go there, Ravi. Don't go there.
Ravi, you're pushing it, mate. You're doing a better job than the Spanish attack's been doing recently, to be fair, but you're pushing it.
I know. Are you ready for Group C?
Yeah, go on.
Let's go with Group C. So, in third place is Andy with 6 points.
Third place. See, I've started off like Skinner. It's just going.
What, going from the top down, you're going that down? Second place is Chloe with 9 points.
I'm staying consistent. Second.
First place loser.
Yeah, first place is me with 450. But yeah, I can just see it now. Go on.
And first place is me with 10 points.
Ah,
So it wasn't a big, massive gap.
nearly double, but who's counting?
We'll go with the first game, Portugal versus Switzerland. None of us got points for. I predicted a 3-2 to Portugal, which I was close with. She hit the bloody post in additional time. I was like, no!
Who knew Portugal could play football? I mean, we just didn't know anything about them. They're a bit of an enigma. But I suppose maybe the fact that it's hotter than hell at the moment probably helped them a little bit as well, because it's that kind of environment that they'll know.
And they got 3-0 to Switzerland, and Chloe went for 2-1 to Switzerland. I like coffees in time to hear about Portugal. Hey there, I like coffee. We'll go with the Netherlands-Sweden game. I got 4 points. However, Andy and Chloe didn't get any points for this one. I actually predicted the 1-1 draw.
Yeah, and I remember saying, "Oh, great, you want me to have a boring draw?" And you were like, "Yeah," and you were right, but it wasn't actually that boring. It wasn't that boring. We've both got a little story about that anyway, because weird shit happens to me. So we'll slot that in once you've done this game.
And they had a 2-1 to the Netherlands, and Chloe had 3-2 to the Netherlands. So what's this story?
I don't know who tells it best, to be honest. Oh, this is another thing. We found this out yesterday. Apparently, people not born in the UK struggle to understand me. So it's a good job, but they can understand Chloe personally, perfectly. So if you want her translation services, they can be contacted at Chloe Riley 14. No, it was couple of things. Side point, no bias at all. I know people like my little views on grounds. Bramall Lane's a nice ground. It's actually quite nice. Don't want to sound too surprised, but it actually is quite a nice ground. It's very nice. But no, basically we in the women's game we have access to a lot more players, which is great. It's what builds the connection, and Chloe especially knows a lot about other players and a lot of players that play for different countries and different leagues. So we were waiting around getting pictures, and there was a random, what I later found out to be mother and daughter that was wandering around. Actually Swedish, not like us, like, picking a country, like wearing orange, they're calling ourselves Dutch. They're actually Swedish from the very north part of Finland, Sweden. And they said, "Oh yeah, are you going back to Manchester?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh yeah, we missed our last train." I said, "What are you going to do?" And she was like, "Oh, we're going to walk around Sheffield until 8:00 tomorrow morning." I was like, I felt like saying, just say that sentence again to yourself. Does that sound like a good idea? And she said, "Oh, maybe we can wait in the train station kind of thing." And I was like, no, that's not the case. So I spoke to Chloe at the time as well, and I have a Micro, just to be clear, which is not the world's biggest car. And I was already dropping off a friend of mine in Bradford. So for about an hour at the back, like a good sitcom, you had Chloe and 2 random Swedish people. And then in my passenger seat, we had a friend of mine, and we got back to Manchester at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And the following day I drove down to Brighton. I don't know if you had anything to add on that a little bit. They were very nice though, weren't they?
Yeah, they're really nice, and they're thankful for what we did for them. But we didn't, as soon as we knew that they were having to walk around Sheffield, we were like, nope, not a chance. No, we'll go and get food. So we went to a petrol station, grabbed food, and then we went off, obviously dropping our friend off in Bradford, and then obviously going to Manchester, dropping them off, and then getting back home for 2:30 to then be up and out of the house for 11 o'clock to drive to Brighton.
Yeah.
All part of being a football fan.
But it was good. It was good actually to talk a bit of ball, and it was nice to hear their views. And it was funny because I must have sounded right weird, but I genuinely meant it. Maybe because it was dark, but she didn't look old enough to be the girl's mother. Like I thought they were like either two friends or maybe an older sister, but it was actually a mother. So she was very happy anyway.
Get a compliment and a show on the same night. Sweden versus Switzerland now. We all got 1 point. I predicted 3-1 to Sweden. Andy predicted 3-0 to Sweden, and Chloe predicted 4-0 for Sweden. Netherlands versus Portugal. I predicted 4-1 to the Netherlands. Andy predicted 7-0 to the Netherlands. Chloe predicted 3-1 to the Netherlands, so you were so close. And we all got 1 point. Switzerland versus the Netherlands. I predicted 4-2 for the Netherlands. Andy predicted 2-0 to the Netherlands. Chloe predicted 3-0 to the Netherlands. So we all got 1 point. And Sweden versus Portugal. I got 1 point. Andy got 1 point. Chloe got 4 points. She got the score right. I predicted 3-0 to Sweden. Andy predicted 4-1 to Sweden. And Chloe predicted 5-0 to Sweden, which was the score.
Yeah, I mean, just another few things. I think Holland's an interesting one because when we saw them at Bramall Lane, obviously Sarri van Wiedendaal had a shoulder injury, and Delphine, whatever her name is, the surname is, I'm sure Chloe will know the surname, came back and smashed it, second cap, and has obviously done really well. Great to see that. Always good to see a young goalkeeper get a chance. Good keepers and attackers rather randomly are my two favourite positions because everyone knows I'm a bit of an attack-focused person. I also like the keepers as well. Obviously, as like Coffee mentioned there, Van der Donk, brilliant goal as well for against Portugal. What was the highlights for you about seeing Holland? Because they look a lot stronger now. They look quite weak first game, didn't they?
I think for me, since they lost Van Wijndaal and they obviously had the COVID cases in terms of Jackie and Viv, they started to struggle. I was worried in the second game against Portugal that they potentially, if they drew that, they had to then go all out to win it in the third game. But luckily that Daniel van der Donk goal that obviously me and yourself, Andy, witnessed at LSB.
You're going to sing the chant.
Was a stunning goal. No. If Maisy comes with us to Rotherham, I'll give her the privilege, like the allow.
You better say, I'll give her the privilege to sing the chant.
No, I'll record it of us both singing it.
Oh, you're bringing me into it now. Okay, I should have shut up now. Okay. Well, we'll try and get tickets for Maisy.
If Maisy can come to Rotherham with us.
Well, that'll be great. I'll be looking forward to it. My singing voice is terrible, by the way.
We've been to a few cities now, as Chloe pointed out. The only two cities that are hosting games that we're not going to is Milton Keynes and the Southampton St Mary's. And I remember someone was saying about Brighton, and the turn of phrase I use between the two is that Brighton and Rotherham is like the difference between a travel lodge and a 5-star hotel. That's the best way I can explain what Rotherham's like.
Reece said I'm like Conor McGregor. I do not make you forget, which I won't. I'm not going to make you forget everything else I've got right. But are you ready to hear the tables we all predicted?
Yeah.
So we all got 2 points each off the table. I predicted the top half of the table right. Andy and Chloe predicted the bottom half of the table right.
Right.
I predicted Sweden first, Netherlands second, Portugal third, Switzerland fourth, or as I like coffee likes to call it, Portugal. And both Andy and Chloe have predicted Netherlands first, Sweden second, Switzerland third, and Portugal fourth. And none of us got our guaranteed goal scorers of mine and Andy's is Vivian Miedema and Chloe's with Martins. No, so it was very close.
Yeah.
But I can confirm with Group D, we all done the worst.
Well, as we didn't really know that much about the teams that were in Group D, then that makes sense.
Go on, Chloe.
Other than France, we don't know much about them.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a minute.
Before I do that, I say poor little Iceland for not getting through. They stole my heart. They made it not so icy.
You sound like one of those like kids in year 7 that are practicing romantic. Iceland stole my heart. I love them very much. I would like to see them again soon.
Oh, poor little Iceland. Come back to me.
I haven't even seen them play. It's just one of those weird things. And maybe because with me and Chloe, I don't know what Chloe's on it, but like we've been spoiled, you know, we're currently seeing 10 games. And then if we get the extra semi-final, it'll be 11. Yeah. I watched a game on TV the other day. I was like, is this how we watch football? I almost forgot. Like I've been to that many like live games, and unfortunately we hadn't had Iceland down. But it sounds like they were a great team of the tournament. And, you know, again, I don't know about the coach, but if they can get that out of that level of players, then maybe they could do even better. But they seem to be a bit of unfortunately, maybe because of the nature of the country, it's a small country. They seem to do all right in tournaments, but they haven't got the ability to sustain a run. And if you remember as well, I think we saw that the commentators had fun because of the Icelandic language. I'm going to sound like Jonathan Pierce here. All the surnames is daughter of is what it translates to. So everybody's surname was like daughter of, and then their father's name. So that's why they all had the similar 2/3 of their surname.
And as well, Iceland was the only team, was it in history, to be unbeaten in the Euros and not go through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a shame. Such a shame. I, like Coffee said, I did predict Portugal to cause an upset. I didn't expect it would be me. I like Coffee's going in tonight. So, I can confirm there was a joint second in Group D. And that was me and Chloe. And that means with 4 points. So that means Andy won with 7 points.
And if anyone wants any more evidence that blind luck can get you quite far in life, it's that.
Yeah.
Just to pick up on what Reese has said in the comments there, I think. France. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about the main player that I knew was Henri, and she's not here. The other player that we all knew, that we all put in our fantasy teams as our top bloody goal scorer, which I always butcher her pronunciation, is Katato. Go on, say it. Finish my sentence, Chloe.
Katato.
So you wobbled then as well because I put pressure on you. Katato.
Katato.
Yeah, her. Anyway, yeah, we all thought, and again, now she's out with an ACL, then, you know, France are going to be interesting. I think, to be honest, instead of roasting France, I'd look at Belgium and think of that Belgium team that played against England in a friendly, and they looked quite weak, you know, weaker than Austria. And we were all there last night in the hottest baby Etihad I've ever been into. I mean, Christ, it literally had heated seats. I put my hand on the seats and they were that hot. It was almost like you had heated seats. You know, Belgium are probably going to be the dark horse of the tournament. They're still going to get mullered by Sweden, but it won't be a 8-0, you know, thing. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. So, what do you want to go first? Guaranteed goal scorer, table, or the games? I'll go with you, Chloe. Which one do you want to go with first?
I think we've done the goal scorers. We've done the correct scores. Let's go with the table.
We'll go with table. It is first. So, I can confirm that we all only got 1 point from the table. And it was first place, France. I predicted France first, Iceland second, Italy third, Belgium fourth.
Ooh.
I was backing my favourites, Iceland. And they actually was in it right till the very last day. They wasn't knocked out until the very last minute, thanks to Belgium. Chloe had France first, Italy second, Belgium third, Iceland fourth. And Andy had France first, Italy second, Belgium third, Iceland fourth. Whilst we've got this table on, can we talk about how underwhelming Italy is, please, Chloe?
Yeah.
She's going to be nice because she took pictures of half the squad last night, so she likes a lot of them. So go on.
In terms of how disappointed Italy were, very, I was disappointed. Like, they probably have one of the best leagues in Europe for the women's team, for the women's game. So for their players not to react, not to play how I've seen them play for Juventus, for Roma, for AC Milan, I just didn't get it. I just didn't get why they were playing like that. They were playing a lot more defensively than I would have thought. For me, when I've watched them previously, I've seen that they've had that attack in front, and they've not been as defensive. They've always been attacking. They've been crossing in. They've been shooting more. But for this tournament, they've been passing back. They've been like we saw yesterday at the game. They were passing back a lot. They weren't finishing. They weren't having the shots. Like, they would get into spaces, and we would all shout shoot, and they were passing, and then they would end up with like 4 or 5 Belgian players around them. So for me, Italy were probably the second to worst team in the tournament in the group stages, and the second, like, disappointing one.
Yes, Chloe, get in.
It means that Norway disappointed me because I thought they would also get through in terms of how good they are, and in terms of the players they've got and the leagues that they play in. So for me, Norway and Italy were the two worst and disappointing teams in the group stages for me.
Yeah, I think I'll move on to that as well. I think, to be honest, I get what you're saying now. The two that disappointed you the most, because I was thinking pretty harsh to say they're the two worst in there. I'd probably say disappointed the most, definitely. I think Italy, the two that disappointed the most, undoubtedly Norway has to be one of them. I mean, they're just too good pound for pound to be that terrible. And whether or not it was, bad management, whether or not it was, later it might come out, or maybe not come out over here, it might come out in the Norwegian press, that it was, maybe a bad camp. We've had them over here with England a little bit, where there's been disquiet in the camp, or there's been a bit of rumblings, but they were utterly awful compared to what they should have been. And it was a big shock. And yeah, I suppose I would probably agree that Italy would be one of them, but I didn't know as much about them as Chloe did. But yeah, I mean, again, the way to have won yesterday would have been to have gone out all, from the get-go and just attack, and try and get lucky. But you almost, if you'd walked off the street or, fainted off the street because it was that hot yesterday, and not known what the table was, you would have assumed that Italy was sitting pretty and all they needed was a 0-0. And even when they went 1-0 down, I wouldn't say that hell froze over. They still stay into the same game plan. They weren't able to switch, and they just didn't do as good as they should have done. And whereas apparently Belgium, it's the first time ever they've qualified for the quarterfinals. And again, I know they've got a sprinkling of strong talent, but the majority of their players play in Belgium, which isn't a strong league. So, it's been an interesting tournament.
I think Italy, though, has shown how far behind the league is compared to the WSL, compared to France as well, because you look at that, the majority of them players in there were Juventus players who recently won the league, who's quite dominant in Italy. A couple of AC Milan players who AC Milan is easily in the top 3. And they have got Roma players in there who Roma isn't that bad at all as a team in Italy for the women's side. So it was just weird how they wasn't able to gel together, and the finishing was absolutely atrocious. They remind me a bit of Emma Hayes. They've got no plan B.
Yeah.
They genuinely have no plan B. But the difference is with Emma Hayes football and Italian football, Italian national team football, is that Emma Hayes knows how to finish. Her side know how to finish, unlike the Italians.
Also as well, I suppose you need to remember, as Chloe mentioned on previous shows, next season is the first season that Italy's full-time in the league. So I don't know how far. And another thing that I've tripped over with the WSL is a bit of, creative accountancy that goes on with the word full-time. Full-time to me means a salary that you could live on. That's just pretty simple to me, that if you did full-time, you could live on it. But full-time can mean, in the UK, 16.5, 17 grand. Not for the WSL level, for the second level. The WSL minimum is about 20, 21. Yeah, some people can live on that, but it's a bit marginal. So, we don't even know what even between full-time leagues, you're going to see a disconnect between those that are full-time, but they still have to pay for maybe different training or do a little bit of a job on the side or a bit of sponsorship, and those that are genuinely full-time, where they can just be a full-time footballer, a la the men's a little bit, obviously not as much money, but in a similar manner.
Completely agree. And then I'm going to give you the option. Do you want to talk about the guaranteed? Do you want the guaranteed goal scorers first, or the games from Group D?
We'll do the. I don't even know what my guaranteed goal scorer was. We'll do the games quickly.
Yeah. So Belgium versus Iceland. Nobody got points. I predicted 1-0 for Iceland. Andy predicted 3-0 to Belgium, and Chloe predicted 3-1 to Belgium. And that was a draw. France versus Italy, we all got 1 point. I predicted 2-1 for France. Andy predicted 2-1 for France. And Chloe predicted the same, 2-1 to France. So we all predicted the same. The next game, Italy versus Iceland, I got 1 point. I predicted 0-0, but it's a 1-1 because of the draw. And Andy and Chloe got no points, as Andy predicted 4-0 for Italy.
I assume they could finish. I know, I thought it was integral to Italians, but evidently not.
And Chloe predicted 4-1 to Italy.
Like, they seemed able to finish, but they didn't.
And France versus Belgium, I got no points for this. Andy got 4 points, and we got the score right. And Chloe got 1 point. I predicted 1-1 France versus Belgium. Andy predicted 2-1 to France. And Chloe predicted 4-1 to France. Iceland versus France, nobody got points for it. I predicted 5-0 to France. Andy predicted 4-0 to France. Chloe predicted 5-0 to France. Italy versus Belgium. No one got points for that either. I predicted 3-1 to Italy. Andy predicted 2-0 to Italy. Chloe predicted 4-1 to Italy.
Atrocious.
And we all got heat stroke as well at the same time.
Heat stroke. You could literally tell off my face. I was like, I could barely breathe.
This is it, right? This is a bit of inside baseball, right? Maisy's like me. She doesn't shut up. We all talk a lot, right? And it was that hot, she couldn't vlog. The Maisy not to be able to vlog. We were going to do a group vlog. We were going to do a group vlog as us three, and I genuinely could not speak. For anyone, exactly. For anyone who maybe isn't in the UK or has air conditioning or a variation on that, isn't in the red zone. I know it's hard to believe, but as I said, it was like having heated seats yesterday. It was the hottest it's ever been. Hottest ever been in a stadium. I'll say that for free. And it was 8:00 start.
Exactly. And you know what as well? Like, it was 41 degrees when we was at the football. 41 degrees. And I was like, I was like, I need an ice cream. Literally all I could think about was ice cream the whole time. But if you haven't already, I actually did record the goal for Belgium
Yeah.
against Italy. It's on my YouTube channel, so go and check it out. It actually looks like a decent goal, to be fair. So that's actually live. What I took myself, because I thought if I can't vlog, I'll try and score. I'll try and record a goal. Really goal. I got it, so it's fine. So we'll go with our goal scorers now. Chloe, what's the player?
Mary and Antoinette Catoto.
Yep, both me and you had that one. We got a point. And Andy had Wendy Renard. Didn't get a point for it.
Oh,
Do you know what, though? Andy Renard was very close. She missed the penalty.
missed the penalty.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'm having flashbacks of Rotherham again. Rotherham's a great stadium. It's just in a stupid place called Rotherham. That's the only thing. It's a nice stadium. It just needs to be in a different place. Hopefully, nobody's from Rotherham. Apologies.
Don't think anyone is, so that's absolutely fine.
I mean,
So we'll quickly predict our semi-finals because we've only got 4 games to predict anyway, so it's fine.
yeah.
Let's do it. We have an idea now of. Wait a minute. Give me a second. What is going on here? Why is that not? Oh, don't tell me it's not saved. Oh, dear me. I don't think it's saved. But whilst we do that, we'll go first with England versus Spain, and we'll go with you, Chloe, for your score prediction.
Oh, this is going to be funny. If you watch closely, people, you'll see her split in two from the logic of the fact that England's going to smash them and the emotional turmoil about the fact that Spain are going to be crying as they walk home and go away.
5-0 England.
Really?
Please explain that.
By looking at how we're defending and how we're scoring, we can score. We can defend that. We can actually do well. But for me, the only threat that I feel like Spain can give us is their set pieces. So I mean, in heading, so that could be the turning point. So I may change my answer. Bear with me.
Hey, locked in now.
But yeah, I think for me, the set pieces, the corners, the free kicks can be our worst enemy at times. But we've been handling that well, and we've been doing well with them. So I think if we can do what we did against Norway, do what we did against Northern Ireland, then we can come out on top, and win this game. And obviously, fingers crossed, Mary keeps a clean sheet again. So yeah, let's stick with it. 5-0.
Super Mary Earps. She's the better goalkeeper. She's the best goalkeeper in the Euros. Sorry, but miles better than the Germany goalkeeper. That's all I'm going to say. Andy, what's your score prediction?
It's difficult because I'm thinking England and I'm thinking knockout football and I'm thinking evidence in the contrary. We're going in the strongest we've ever been into a knockout situation, 3 wins. I could see a 5-0, but I can see the occasion's gonna be quite aware. They're gonna be quite aware of it. My initial gut feeling is 3-0 England. Partly, I think, because there will be an element of England possibly feeling them out a little bit because it's quarters. It's going to be hot again because it's big girl football. It's knockout football. I don't see Spain winning in any way because they've got no attack. Essentially, they're us before Christmas. They're United before Christmas. Basically, they haven't even got anyone to play false 9. They're just essentially a 2/3 completed squad. And for some stupid reason, Jorge Vilda doesn't understand that he's allowed to start Pino in minute 0 rather than minute 80. And he also has a habit of keeping another, for England, which is good, keeping another striker on the bench. So I think he wants to quit. I think he wants to leave England and go back to Spain. So I'm going to help him pack on Wednesday night. 3-0 England.
I've gone for a 3-0 to England as well. I think the thing is with England, what I have really liked is that England can adapt to whoever they play against. And that's the good thing about Serena. If she's playing against a possession-based team, she'll make sure that she tries to get that possession back or go as a counter-attacking team if needed. And she's very dominant on the ball. She allows the fullbacks to play quite high up the pitch. And I just think with Spain, even though they hold possession, when they get it into the box, because they're playing Lucia Garcia as a false 9, she takes one too many touches, which the likes of Jenny Hermoso would never have done. And that's where they're losing out on these goals. So they'll have possession. I really do think so. But, Chloe, what do you want to touch on about Spain's attack?
Oh. You muted yourself. I think there you go.
In terms of what Andy was saying, like them not starting Esther Gonzalez, for example, their number 9, their forward, who is supposed to be in that role instead of Jenna. They're not starting her. They're playing like we said before. They're playing Lucia Garcia up front, out of position, where she plays on the right wing, on the left wing. And for me, I don't see why they're doing that. If you don't want to start Esther Gonzalez, start Pina. She's had a top-class season for Barca. She's going to be outstanding this season. She's going to be probably one of the top players for Barca this season, in terms of that she's going to be a senior player. She's going to be a player that they're going to look up to. With Oshuala being injured, there's going to be no Jenny. So for me, if Jorge brings on Pina in the 80th minute, in the 85th minute, it's like he doesn't trust her. So why bring her to the tournament if you're only going to play for so many minutes? And same with Esther. If you're not going to play him, why bring him to the tournament? Or why give him that privilege of saying, right, you're going to be my first pick along instead of Jenny and stuff. So for me, that's, like you said, Maisy, that's where I can see him. Yeah, they're going to have a lot of possession. They're going to have the long balls from defence, from Mape and from Layla, and obviously from our Honor. They're going to have the paces on the wings, but they've just got no one in the box to finish. They've got no one to take the shots outside of the area, and which Alexa would have done. So for me, Bonmati, she's one of the players that I have to say we've got to watch out for. She's quick, she's pacey, she can shoot, and she's in midfield. So for me, she's probably the underrated player in the game for Spain.
Yeah, I completely agree. Here's some predictions. Reese has gone England 4, Spain 1. James has gone for England 1, England 4, Spain 1. Left me to score 2 goals. Ravi thinks it's going to go to penalties. I don't think so, Ravi, in my opinion. But we'll go now. Germany versus Austria. I'll go with you, Andy. What are you going to go for?
Austria's done very well to qualify. I kind of thought they would after we absolutely hammered Norway 8-0, because I figured no team could really bring themselves up. I was right. I mean, the problem is, if Germany play as good as they're playing, it could be very, very embarrassing indeed for Austria. But I get the impression, again, maybe stereotypes, because Germans are quite efficient. They're going to do enough to get the job done, and they might back off. So I'm thinking 3-0 Germany, because they might rotate. They're going to have a lot of time on the ball. Pop is apparently the German Georgia Stanway, so she's always good for a card. put the bet on and it never happened. But, you know, as long as I don't bet, you'll be all right. You'll get the bet. So maybe a couple of things like that might throw a spanner in the works. Maybe an early silly challenge, maybe 2 yellows might help with an extra person advantage. But if Germany, especially in this weather, I know it's going to cool a little bit in the next 2 days, but it's still going to be 23, 24 degrees. I don't, you know, if they want to play full pelt, they'll beat them 8-9-0. But I think they'll just do enough to win the game. So I'm thinking 3-0 Germany.
Interesting. What are you gone for, Chloe?
I agree with all the points that Andy was saying there. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a game where Austria are going to have to come out and fight, knowing that if they can beat Germany and knock them out, then that's going to be an historic win for them. Because I don't even actually think if they've actually beaten Germany. I don't know if you could find that out, Maisy, if they have beaten Germany. But I think for me, I think Germany have been too good. They've been one of the best teams, obviously, other than us. They've managed to score them goals. Pop scored in all 3 group games, like Beth has scored in all of our 3 group games. So again, it's one of them. It's going to be a tough one. Is it going to be a clean sheet for Germany? I do think so. And do I think it's going to be a high scoring one? I don't think such a high scoring one, but I can't see it being more than. It's got to be. I'm going to say it's going to be more than 2. So I'm going to go with a 4-0 Germany result.
Mm-hmm. I checked your score for you as well, Chloe, and Germany has never played against Austria.
Now that is interesting. I would have thought they would have played. So for me, knowing that they've now not played each other, that for me is one that's going to be good because we've got no scores to go off. We've got no predictions to go off. So it's one of them. But in terms of like just quickly jumping back to England, Spain, we last played Spain in the Euros in the group stages back in 2017 and won them 2-0. And that was with the likes of Jenny, Alexa, Vicky. So that shows that having them kind of predictions in what we've got against Spain to what Austria and Germany don't have.
And
so
if you remember, Chloe, as well, we actually played against Spain in the Arnold Cup. That's where we all went to, and we drew 0-0. And Jenny and Alexa was playing then, and we called it our squad the retirement age squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see where like England have kind of gone from 2017 where we're winning with a good squad and like a nice built up potential great squad in the run up to a World Cup as well, to now that in 20 when it was in the Arnold Cup, we were drawing 0-0 with Spain because they have got that. They've got the youngsters coming up. They've still got the seniors playing, but they've got the youngsters. So for me, I do think Spain are going to miss Jenny and Alexa. So obviously, going back to the Germany-Austria game, I can see that, like I said, there's no predictions. There's no way we can say, right, they've played each other. I'll go off anyone. So, yeah, I'm just going to stick with the 4-0. And thanks for that, Maisy. Thanks for that.
You're very welcome. Before I do my score prediction, there's a few people who's got their scores in there. So, Ree's gone for a 5-0 for Austria. Ravi went for the same, if I can find it. He went for 5-0 as well. Andrew in the chat, I've gone for 4-0 England versus Spain, 3-0 Germany versus Austria. There it is. Germany 5-0. James has gone for Germany beat Austria 2-0. And Raz? Why you predicted Spain to beat us 5-0? Come on, friend. What are you doing?
I think the ultimate game of the tournament, which I think is what we were saying about England and Germany, would be an England-Germany final, which obviously we will get to hopefully in a couple of shows' time. I think it's not what we'd want as England because that's going to be the hardest opposition. But if you want a blockbuster game that's going to be, that would truly be that if we beat Germany and became champions, we would deserve the championship. That would be that. And I think it's just the issue is going to be the quarters for me, because England, Spain, we will touch on obviously next time about possible permutations for the semis, but we've got the harder quarter, a bit of a weaker semi. If you look at the other side where we feed through, and actually the other side of the draw, we've got a bit tougher with France and Holland. So it's going to be interesting.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. You said 5-0 to Germany. Sorry. I've gone for a 2-0 for Germany. I know a lot of people are expecting such high defeats of Germany, but for me, I think it's going to be a lot more tougher than what people think, because I actually think Austria is quite an underrated team in the respect that they're so well defensively built. They hardly conceded goals in them group stages. One against us. They won against Norway, and Northern Ireland they won. So they only conceded 1 goal in the entire tournament, and they were more of a defensive kind of team.
Yeah.
And in tournaments, defensive kind of football always works. And I think if they're able to be as well defensively structured as they did against England, I don't think that Germany's going to be battering them whatsoever. I really don't. And because I think Germany is the second best team in the Euros after us. So that's why I've gone for 2-0. I think it's going to be a more low scoring game than what people probably are expecting. So I've gone for Sweden, Belgium next. There. Sweden versus Belgium for me. Bye Belgium. Sweden. I think Belgium for me, they was very lucky to finish second. I think Iceland were unlucky. I think Italy were unlucky to finish second. I think Italy had no chance, but I think Belgium was extremely lucky to finish where they did. Just because against France they lost, against Iceland, you should be getting a win. Even though that Club Brugge, for instance, isn't as developed, I'm sure it's a lot more developed than the Iceland teams. So you would expect them to win against Iceland. And in my opinion, I think Blackstenius, Aslana, is going to be completely all over this Belgium team. And I've gone for a 4-0 to Sweden. What are you going to go for, Andy?
This is actually different. And it might be the heat, because it's really bloody hot in my room. Never mind, in my house, never mind anything else. And this is opposite to what I said yesterday as well, off camera. But I'm going to say it looked really stupid. Oh, I always look stupid. I think Belgium could nick it. They could. I think they could. Their defense is very strong, and everybody knows that Rofo and Laxinius, that you've got top players. And if they park the bus and they get lucky and it goes to extra time and then it's penalties and it's a lottery, they could nick it. And I suppose we can't really predict penalties, so the number would be wrong. But so I'll have to go with 90 minutes. But I would say 1-0 Belgium. And
if you want to go for a draw, you can do it. It's entirely up to you, by the way. You can't think,
over 90, yeah. Well, I'll go 1-0 Belgium because I see a situation where everybody's going seeing the semis to Sweden. They're a lot stronger in every part of the park. But there's something about that Belgium side last night, I know it was against Italy, that was actually really quite hard to break down. And I just wonder, there's always a big shock. It might be the heat. You can take the mickey out of me when this goes. There always is a big shock somewhere. And maybe I can just see a situation where they're pummeling the post, a crossbar, post, crossbar, post, crossbar, and they get a lucky corner or a lucky free kick. But I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but I don't know why I'm getting a strong feeling towards Belgium. Probably heat stroke. But what about you, Chloe?
I can see where you're coming from in terms of how good Belgium are, but I just can't see them beating Sweden. The defense is too good. They've got fast wingers. They've got the forwards that can shoot from long distances. They've got more forwards who they can come on for Sweden. So for my prediction for that game, that me and Andy are attending at the Sports Village on Friday, which we're looking forward to. I'm going to predict a 5-0 Sweden win.
So basically, either I'm going to be looking really right, or you're both going to laugh at me at how ridiculously weird my prediction is. I don't know. It's just a feeling. I can see a Blackstenius getting really frustrated if it gets to 60th minute, 70th minute, and it's 0-0, and they start panicking. Well, what are we going to do? So I don't know. Considering I said I attempted to speak to a Belgian fan last night. She literally said, "I don't understand you," and then I just pointed at Chloe to
You know what's funny? She literally
she spoke English fine. She just didn't speak me. That was the problem. So literally, I just pointed to Chloe. He said the exact same words in the exact same order of what I said, and she said, "Yeah, no, we're not going to beat Sweden." But I'm going to have more hope than a Belgian fan. There you go.
Must be a greater Manchester accent. Must be.
What's Chloe got?
I'm more mank.
But if in case anyone was wondering, what do you mean by heat stroke? It's 31 degrees as it stands, people. So yeah, it is warm. So in case you're thinking, don't blame this on the heat, and it's 31 degrees.
Hey, Team Belgium, sod it. You were doing that. I should be doing whatever they do.
Ooh. So Reese has gone for 3-0 to Sweden. Andrew went for a 2-1 to Sweden. So we have got now France versus the Netherlands, and I'm gonna go first of all with you, Chloe.
Oh, now this is one where I'm probably gonna look stupid in one. But I mentioned it to Andy. I think it was last night after the Belgium game. What I think of this one, because again we're going to this one at Rotherham, and I can see it being a 1-1 draw because they're both going to be very defensive, very attack mindful. Because the Dutch team have just lost Lieke Martens, so that can be their downfall. But they do have a good quality bench in who can be in her position. And obviously, France have lost Maria and Antoinette Cato. So they've both lost 2 good players. So, like I said, I think it's going to be in 90 minutes a 1-1 draw. And then I think Netherlands will win it on penalties.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Should you do you, Maisy, to switch it up a bit, and then I'll do me?
I actually think that it is going to be a very scrappy 2-1 win for the Netherlands. I just think France, they didn't look so great against Iceland when I watched the highlights.
Yeah.
They was lucky to get the win out of Belgium, whereas with the Netherlands, even though they've had Sweden, which they drew, they won against Portugal, they won against whoever else they played against, Switzerland, that was it. And I just think right now, based off how it is, I just feel like Netherlands, maybe that just tiny bit stronger, especially knowing that France has got them injuries. But Andy, let's go with your score prediction.
Yeah, I don't see it that close. I think I mean, then they have messed up so much, but they fought back. I mean, maybe I don't see a nil anything, so I don't think it's going to be whatever nil to France or Holland, whatever nil to Holland. You know what I mean? I think there will be no one's getting a clean sheet in this. But maybe 3-2 Holland, because I think Holland are going to come out with a lot of firepower. That their defense is dodgy, but also they're also even if France come out better than they do and go 2-0 down because they've come from behind a lot or played with adversity a lot, I think they could actually bring it back. So I'd say 3-2 Netherlands.
Interesting. So I've locked off all the scores, and we'll do.
It's scoring now, isn't it?
Quick question, Maisy.
Yeah.
If obviously the games do go to penalties, so in terms of like the winners for the games, do we still get points for the winners if they go penalties, or does it have to be the 90?
So if it goes to a win on penalties, if we predicted that team to go right, we'll get the 1 point. But
Right.
if, for example, though, if it went to penalties, you've gone 1-1, and then it goes to the full 90, I'll give you 5 points because you predicted the draw at the 90 as well.
Right. Okay.
We'll do our guaranteed goal scorer. Chloe wanted to be a bit mean and she wanted to pick all the teams who would have the guaranteed goal scorer, but I think that would be too difficult. There's only 14 in 4 games, Chloe.
She actually has an encyclopedic knowledge of every bloody player that plays for them. And also, if I remember rightly, one of the things she said yesterday is, I need to get home and look up who I've got photographs for. So she's building her knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I thought we'll do it off the entire quarterfinals just because I thought I'd be a bit nicer.
Yeah.
I will go with you first, Andy. Who you think's going to score?
Beth Mead.
Meadow. Not Hempo, Meadow. What about you, Chloe?
Very Poppins accent there, but we'll let you go away with it.
Obviously, I was going to go for Mead as well.
It's just obvious. It's low-hanging fruit, but there are others.
It's obvious, yeah, but I didn't go for Mead.
Yeah.
I went for Russo. Because considering Russo, she has been a bench player. She's come off the bench all the games. She still managed to get 3 goals. I think there's going to be them times where we are going to get them fouls off Spain. And I do genuinely believe that we will have like a headed goal off Russo.
Yeah, sounds good.
So who have you gone for, Chloe?
I've gone for Mead.
Mead as well.
2 Meads and a Russo.
We're
We
not
United fans.
We're not including this obviously in the thing, but I'm just interested. Do you think we'll see a penalty shootout in this round?
Yeah, Netherlands, France.
Yeah, I think that would be the most likely one if I was going to pick.
Yeah, it's the one I've predicted to go to penalties.
I know I predicted a win in 90, but I think if it's going to be any of them, it's going to be Sweden-Belgium.
That'll be interesting. It will be interesting. Ravi did ask earlier on about standout players, so we'll do that before we wrap up. Chloe, who's been your standout player of this group stage? Well, you can only hit one.
I can only pick one. Mead, standout player. She's improved massively, and she's shown what we were missing in the Olympics for her not getting picked, and that's obviously played on her mind throughout the season in Arsenal, and then it's obviously been in her mind that if she didn't, like, was she going to get picked? Like, why didn't she get picked for the Olympics but getting picked for this? So for me, she's shown Hegerisa why she was needed in that squad. So yeah, for me, it's Beth Mead who's been my standout player in the group stages.
What about you, Andy?
I mean, I can't agree because if for the show, I mean, in the sense of it's better if I say something else, but I would also say Mead because it's just so obvious. It's a redemption story. It makes Higuerita look not even makes her think. It makes her look bloody stupid. She's absolutely smashed it out of the park. I mean, Beth Mead is definitely the standout player by a mile in the true definition of the word. In relation to other players that I've seen, I mean, to be honest, Pop, you mentioned it earlier, as captain as well. The goals that she scored, the way that she's carried the team. She's got a bit of a Stanway to her, so she's not got sent off. Well done,
and
dear.
there's one other thing about Pop before we continue.
Yeah.
This was her first Euros.
Yeah, first Euros.
And she's a
captain.
leader.
Yeah.
She came off the bench the first game. She started since because of COVID issues with Germany, and she's managed to still stay in that squad and score. And I think that's great. But continue, Amanda.
Well, an honourable mention would be Anna Bajé, because even when Spain were bloody awful against Germany, she looked like she was running for every ball, and she was looked like at a completely different level to the rest of the squad. The only problem is the way Jorge had her playing was just not really the way she plays. It was a lot of early Skinner, a lot of run forward, fantastic, and when she should go forward, she has to turn back or stop. And it just didn't work on the days for Spain. What about you, Maisy? What's your standout player?
Mine would have to be Beth Mead as well. I genuinely think she's been absolutely superb. She's definitely been Arsenal's better players this season, and to come to the Euros to score 4 goals, to get so many assists, 5 goals. Yeah, to get so many assists as well. I think she's got one of the highest assists. I think she's so good how she can alternate between the left and the right hand side. I think she's been so good. But I do agree, Pop has been another outstanding player who I would like to give a mention to, because it was between them both for me. But also, if I was going to look at any other country, it's a tough one. I'd have to maybe even go for Harder for Denmark, because I think Harder in some games has carried Denmark, and she's even played as a false nine herself, knowing that she's not really a striker. So to play out of position and to still do well for the Denmark team, I think she needs another honourable mention. You got any more, Chloe? Chloe, you're on mute again.
My other one was Danielle van der Donk. To see her come back from an injury so severe that we didn't know if she would make it for the Euros. That's another one. So she's kind of held the midfield together in terms of that. She's played all 3 of the games, but when Jackie had COVID, couldn't play. She held that midfield, especially in the game against Portugal. So for me, Danielle van der Donk has to be another standout player, and then obviously, like you both said, Pop. It being her first Euros, but she's missed the last 3 because of injuries, and to see the emotion in that first game when she scored, it just showed how much that she'd missed being in the tournament. She wanted that goal, and it just shows that she's here to play, and she's not here to mess around. So for me, Pop, Danielle van der Donk, and Beth Mead are my 3 standouts.
Yeah, you're completely right. So, Ravi did mention one Norton from Portugal, and she's actually a striker who played in the midfield. So I think even she has been great at what she has done. But we'll wrap it up here now anyway. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Chloe, for both coming on. It's been brilliant. Andy, would you first like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, it's just my Twitter, really. I'm obviously mainly on here now, which is fantastic. Maisy still has me, which is brilliant. It's great to be on here. So it's at AJ_87, which is my personal Twitter.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, Andy. Just like it's a pleasure to have Chloe on as well. Would you like to shout out your socials, Chloe?
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks for having me on again, Maisy. It's been a privilege, and it's been good to see where we are after the group stages in terms of our points, and obviously looking forward to the next one for the semi-finals. So yeah, my Twitter's there, Chloe Riley 14, and yeah, thanks again, Maisy, for having me on.
Thank you both for coming on. It's been great. I haven't got nothing planned as of yet for the next show. I will do a watch along. It's just depending on what's going to happen in Friday, Saturday, if I'm going to be at the game or not. So if I'm not going to be at any of the games, I will do watch alongs. If not, I'll do a show sometime. But you'll be able to catch me on here, Devils United. And as I said, there was that goal from earlier on, what I posted for the Belgium game. So go and check that out as well.
Belgium, as I backed you for quarters.
Woo for Belgium. Misery for Iceland. I just thought I'd mention that. But thank you, both of you for coming on. Hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.